Rogers 2nd and 10 from Claremore's 28-yard line. Pistol formation. White in the backfield. High snap. Soltemeyer brings it in, gets the handoff to White, and he'll get about a yard up to the 27. And it'll be 3rd and 9.
Well, at first glance, that looked like it might have been one of those triple option type plays where the quarterback can hand off to an up back or he can take the option to the outside of the field. And as that snap was high and White had already started his burst forward, I started to wonder maybe more if that was just a design handoff to White no matter what, which is why he gave it to him. But it was a dangerous handoff because White was already so far up the field.
3rd and 9 for Rogers from Claremore's 27-yard line. And a timeout going to be taken by Rogers. That's their last one, is it not? It is their last. They are out of timeouts in the first half, so 41 seconds left here in the first quarter. Claremore leads Rogers 6-0. So, again, apologizing for technical issues on ClaremoreZebras.tv. That's why we always want to remind you of the simulcast. If something like that should happen, we're available on either 91.3 FM, or if you're outside of the Claremore or Green Country area, you can go to rsuradio.com/live for live audio streaming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for all RSU radio programming. Let's get a look at the scoreboard.
In Class 6A Division II, Bartlesville up early on lower classification Cassia Hall 14-0. Midwest City up on 5A Carl Albert 7-0. Bigsby up on 5A East Central 23-zip. And Guthrie, a 5A school, up on 6A Division II Ponca City 14-7. Sand Springs leading Enid 13-0. And Lawton Mac, a 5A school, defending 5A state champs, leading Lawton 6-0.
All right, 3rd and 9 for Rogers from the Claremore 27. Soltemeyer, the snap, backs up to throw. Looking right, throws right, wide open man at the 15-yard line, and he's caught and out of bounds at the 10. Grayson Lee with the reception, 1st and 10 for the Mounties in the red zone.
Well, there was no question about that play. Lee came streaking out from the right side, just a little wheel route, and as he came down the sideline, there was no one on him. And if he's able to keep his feet, he might have a chance to take it in for 6.
So correction, 1st and goal from right at the 10-yard line. Still the pistol formation. Sage White, the running back directly behind Soltemeyer. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff. Now the pitch. Sweeping around the left side across the 10, and he'll be hit and stopped at the 9-yard line. And the pitch to Freeland, the senior. 2nd and goal from the 9. 13 seconds and counting left in the quarter.
I don't think they're going to be in too big of a hurry to run another play. Soltemeyer's still unsure of what he sees from the sidelines. And they're just going to eat it and take it to the 2nd.
After the end of the first quarter, Claremore 6, Rogers, Arkansas 0. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio. Mike, yes, I have audio. Back after the end of the first quarter, Claremore leads Rogers, Arkansas 6-0. From Whitey Smith Field here in Rogers, 2nd and goal upcoming for the Mounties from the 9-yard line. Bryant Ferguson, Josh Haley Glad you've jumped on board with us tonight on RSU Radio. 2nd and goal, Soltemeyer. In the pistol. The snap. Fake handoff as flags fly. Soltemeyer around the left side to the 5-yard line, into the end zone. Touchdown, Mounties, but we'll check the penalty.
Well, and when it comes in from the backfield like that, without a doubt.
Illegal shift.
That's never a good sign from the offense when you see that flag come in almost instantaneous when that ball is snapped. There's usually only one thing it can be when it comes from the backfield.
So that makes 1st and goal from the 9, or correction, 2nd and goal from the 9 becomes from the 15. Or 14
Rogers,
if I could count.
That is the 3rd penalty. 15 total yards and penalties for the Mounties thus far.
2nd and goal from the 14. Pistol formation. And the snap to Soltemeyer, backs up to pass. Throwing for the end zone in the near corner. And it'll be knocked away and incomplete. Knocked away by Alex Moore. Jake Benninghoff was the intended receiver. 3rd and goal.
That's great coverage by Alex Moore, the senior. We saw him make a couple of big plays last week, including the opening drive of the game. He forced a fumble and recovered it for the Zebras. And to defend well on that play, not an easy task, but Alex Moore, you can see the experience there, the way he defended that play. He didn't get too excited when the ball was in the air. He just waited on it to come down, stayed close to his man, and got his hands up on it.
3rd and goal from the 14. Soltemeyer the pistol. Snap, fake handoff. Now the pitch out to the right side. To the 10-yard line, spins free and gets it down to the 4. So it'll be 4th and goal. And it was Freeland. Again in motion and taking that pitch. Making it work up to the 4-yard line, 4th and goal from the 4.
Now that option play's worked well for them tonight, and a little bit surprised to see them go with that play on 4th and goal from that far out. And here's another thing. As you get that much closer to the goal line, now you bring on the field goal unit, and you are all the way over to that right hash. So here's something to keep in mind. The hash marks in high school and college, much wider than what you see in the NFL. Those stem past the goalpost.
20-yard attempt from Chris Lopez. The snap hold, that one nearly blocked. And it's no good.
He couldn't cut it enough. He was too far over to the right. He couldn't cut it back enough to his left. Not saying he's incapable of doing it, but that is a hard kick to make. Those hash marks are spread way out from those goalposts. And so it's not as simple as just aiming a little bit into the left. You have to aim a lot to the left and cut that ball. That's a difficult kick in the high school ranks.
10:57 remaining in the first half. 6-0 Claremore with the lead over Rogers. Again, mentioned a bunch of big games being played tonight across the state. We'll get you updated on a few more scores here in a few moments. 1st and 10 Zebras from their own 20-yard line. There's the snap direct to Heisey. Looking up the left side of the line, pushing forward across the 20, and he'll fall forward up to the 23-yard line for a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7.
Now going back to that field goal, you would have almost been better served to take a delay of game penalty and back yourself up 5 yards so it's not as difficult of an angle on that field goal attempt. And I thought when they ran the ball that they might have been thinking we're going to try to tie this game up, just get closer to the goal line with the run. A little bit surprising to see them bring the field goal unit on.
2nd and 7 from the 23. High snap. Heisey brings it down. It's got McCullough for a blocker, but he'll run to trouble himself. Try to get back to the line of scrimmage, but it'll be stopped just a bit short at the 23. Just inside the 23, so we'll say 3rd and 7 still. And the hit and stop made by Tony Roller.
Well, really the first time this Claremore offense has been able to get back on the field, and I tell you, they can do their defense a big service right here by picking up a first down and running some clock. That defense has got to be exhausted. They've been on the field for probably about 35, 40 straight minutes.
Flags and whistles stop the play. False start, Claremore.
I mean, think about it like this. We started shortly after 7 o'clock. Claremore had a 6-play opening drive to score a touchdown, and since then, the offense has only been on the field for 1 play. So nearly 30 consecutive minutes that this Claremore defense has had to be on the field. And for Claremore, now you back yourself up and make it a 3rd and 12. You've got to try to do everything you can to get a first down. That defense for Claremore really hoping they can get a breather.
3rd and 12 from the 18. McCullough with an empty backfield. The snap, looks right, throws right, it's got Heisey, and he dropped it as a flag comes into the pile. Diving attempt made by Keegan Heisey, but it's incomplete. We'll check the flag.
Well, I like the play call there. You don't try to do too much. Don't try to just instantly think go deep. Get it in the hands of one of your playmakers. Heisey, who's very fast. It was an easy throw to try to make. And another penalty against Claremore.
Yeah, personal foul, horse collar. Penalty is declined. So it'll be 4th down. Fourth and 12 from the 17.
Well, Derek Brazel, the Claremore punter, taking over the punting duties after 3-year starting kicker and punter Jared Vincent moved on to the college ranks, playing at Pittsburgh State now. But Brazel did a pretty good job last week. Had a couple of punts that he'd, of course, like to have back. But when the game really mattered in the 4th quarter, he ripped off a 40-plus yard punt. That was a big help for the Zebras.
4th and 12, high snap. Brazel brings it in, right-footed kick, high towards the far side. Will bounce at the 35. There's that great Zebra bounce. It's going to roll across the 50 and up to the Mounties' 46-yard line. 1st and 10 Mounties from their own 46. About a 37-yard punt and no return. 9:27 left here in the first half. 6-0, Claremore leads Rogers in Rogers. And another roadie next week to Siloam Springs, which we drove through on the way to Rogers. It's a little bit of a shorter trip next week, but brand new stadium. First game was played in it last week.
And nice stadiums all around in the state of Oklahoma and here in northwest Arkansas. A lot of schools being able to build brand new stadiums, brand new activity centers.
1st and 10 for the Mounties from their own 46. Low snap, then the handoff to the tailback. And he'll break free across the 50, now to the 45-yard line, and powers his way up to the Zebra 42, 1st and 10.
Just the 3rd carry we've seen tonight from Christian Brummett, but making the most of it. Not the biggest guy on the field by any means, but multiple Zebras had a chance to get him before he picked up the first down, and he just managed to stay on his feet and keep the legs driving.
1st and 10 from the Zebra 42. And Brummett is the tailback, now a man in motion right. Or I beg your pardon, it was Brummett. And he'll run into the pile still on a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th effort. Up to the 41 for a 1-yard gain, 2nd and 9.
Well, so far to this point, just early in the 2nd quarter, I don't think we've seen anything in this game that's really surprised us. Expected both teams to come out and be run heavy. Rogers got into a little bit of a zone there where they were really liking the pass option. And Rogers 2 for 5 on passing attempts thus far for a total of 38 yards, a 23-yard pickup and a 15-yard pickup that was big on a 3rd down play on that last drive. For Claremore, they've kept the passing to a minimum as well. Both teams relying heavily on the run, which is exactly what we expected to see.
Rogers 2nd and 9 from Claremore's 41. Saltemeyer takes the snap, fakes the handoff. Takes it himself across the 40 and will be stopped actually at the 40. So brings up 3rd and 8.
It's nearly a 4-to-1 run-to-pass ratio for this Rogers team, very similar for the Claremore Zebras. And again, in this situation, just because it's 3rd and 8, don't automatically think they're going to have to go back to the pass, because I would look at this as 4-down territory for Rogers. They've had a lot of success tonight with that option play, so don't be surprised if you see them try to go to the outside and break something loose.
Mounties 3rd and 8 from Claremore's 40. Soltemeyer, the snap, backs up to pass. Looks right, throws right, nearly intercepted, and falls incomplete. And tough to see who it was. Hunter Thrasher had a chance for the pick. Couldn't haul it in, and it's 4th and 8.
Well, that's a great read, though, by Hunter Thrasher, one of your senior linebackers who's got the athleticism of a defensive back. And to read that play the way that he did, very solid. I think if you're Claremore here, you're lining up in the punt formation, but this is a good look right off the bat from Claremore. They're not lining up in a typical punt return formation. They are playing this very safe. They're not going to be fooled here.
There's a snap. Right-footed punt is away. High spiraler. Nice distance. Needs to get down if it's going to stay out of the end zone, but it rolls in, so there's the touchback. 1st and 10 for Claremore from their own 20. 7:12 left in the second quarter. 6-0. Claremore leads Rogers in Rogers. And a check at the 6A1 scoreboard. Norman North leading Yukon 14-7. Deer Creek 7-zip over Norman. Tie game in Edmond between Edmond North and Edmond Memorial. 7-7, 14-7. Westmore leads Southmore, and in the Backyard Bowl, Union 7, Jinx 6. More scores as the night goes on. Again, Claremore leading by 6 here in the second quarter in Rogers. 1st and 10 for the Zebras from their own 20. Snap to McCullough. He's going to run with it. Angling left at the 25-yard line. Still pushing the pile forward. And he's got the first down across the 30 to the 31. 1st and 10 Zebras.
Hard running from Aaron McCullough. And from your quarterback, whenever you call his number, this guy's always ready to step up. Again, they're not going to have him throw the football a ton. Only 2 pass attempts on the night. And that's only his 2nd rushing attempt. But whenever he gets the chance to keep it in his hands and make a play, you're going to get all effort from him.
All right, 1st and 10 from just outside the 30. And they'll shift. McCullough in the gun, takes the snaps, got a blocker. It's Heisey. McCullough pushing forward across the middle to the 35-yard line for a 5-yard gain. 2nd and 5.
Keegan Heisey already a solid night. That's his 7th carry, 61 yards rushing for Keegan Heisey. And remember last week, he didn't even need 20 carries to break the century mark. So a good start to his season.
Second and 5 for the Zebras from their own 35. High snap. Heisey's got to bring it in, and he does. Looking around the left side in trouble. Fights to get back to the line of scrimmage, but he'll lose a yard back to the 34. It'll bring up 3rd and 6. But several other things could have happened on that play, and they were all a lot worse.
Yeah, a 1-yard loss I think is probably your best case scenario given the way that play started. But still an opportunity to pick this up. And for Claremore, when it comes down to 3rd and 6, you kind of look at this as a very 3rd and manageable. With as successful as they've been in running the football, bringing out different formations, they're not going to shy away from running it when it's 3rd and 6. Now, I'm not saying you're definitely not going to see a pass here, but Claremore knows they're perfectly capable of picking up a 3rd and 6 on the ground.
Empty backfield. Here comes Heisey in motion left. They'll fake the handoff to him. McCullough straight ahead. Spinning free at the 35. Now falls forward to the 37-yard line. They'll bring up 4th and 3.
Certainly don't dislike the play call there. When Keegan Heisey's been the feature back in this offense, you see him come in motion from the field side. The defense probably focused on him. He had a head of steam going in motion, and instead it's McCullough just a little bit of a turnaround and then trying to get upfield. So I like the play call there, but without a doubt on 4th down here, you're going to send it away.
4th and 3. Lined up to go for it. Snap to Heisey. Sweeping around the right side. Gets a great block from McCullough. And Heisey up to the 39-yard line. That'll turn it over on downs. 1st and 10 Mounties from the Zebra 39. 4:41 left. 6-0. Claremore with the lead over Rogers.
Well, you're not going to see a lot of gambles, but that was a pretty big gamble at this stage in the football game. Leading 6-0. You've done a pretty good job of containing this Rogers offense. And now they have been blessed with a short field.
Mounties first and 10 from the Zebra 39. Soltemeyer in the pistol. Takes the snap. Pitch to the right, to the 40-yard line. And spinning forward, and it gets it up to the 35. Grayson Lee with the carry. 2nd and 5.
This game has really been slowed down. Claremore had it at a fast pace very early with that 6-play, 80-yard drive to score first and take the lead. And since then, it's really been just a lot of defense. Rogers has been able to move the ball some, but for the most part, Claremore has been able to contain them. But Rogers has been given a very short field in a lot of occasions.
Correction, 2nd and 6 from the 35. Here's the handoff. Going straight up the middle to the 32-yard line. And Christian Brummett with the carry. 3rd and 4. Or correction, 3rd and 3 from the 32.
Rogers has sent a whole stable of backs tonight. Soltemeyer, the quarterback, has the most carries, but White, Brummett, Freeland have all been involved.
Yep, 3rd and 3, it's Brummett in the backfield. Man in motion left. Soltemeyer the snap to give to Brummett. Straight ahead to the 30-yard line, and the Zebra defense pushes him back. 4th and 1 from the Zebra 30.
Well, don't be surprised if they leave the offense on the field here. You've already had a field goal blocked and a field goal missed. However, you could argue that this might be the most realistic field goal attempt that they've had so far of the night. Now, yeah, it'd be a 47-yarder, but it's right smack dab in the middle of the field. But I think at this stage, 4th and 1, the way they've been able to run the football as of late, no question to leave the offense on the field.
Mounties, 4th and 1 from the Zebra 30. Soltemeyer in the pistol, Brummett the tailback. Man in motion right, and there's flags and whistles. And they'll stop the play. Should be a false start. And it is. 4th and 1 becomes 4th and 6, and now from the Zebra 35.
Well, this isn't going to change anything for Rogers. I think they're probably still going to leave the offense on the field.
Well, they'll bring the punter in, actually.
You don't see
But
the
they're gonna
punt
take a
team.
hunt-
Yeah,
yeah,
you
huddle.
don't see him huddle up a lot. Not saying it's going to be a fake, but you certainly got to be careful here. Yeah, now they've got
Late-
staffing issues.
Yeah, late substitution. Yep, Landon Harper as the punter. Max Horton's the up man. It's to Harper. Yeah, right-footed punt is away. Low wobbler. Bounces at the 5, and it's going to go hard into the end zone. Yeah, that's the touchback. 1st and 10 for Claremore from their own 20. 2:07 left in the second quarter. Claremore leads Rogers 6-0 here in Rogers, Arkansas.
That was only a 15-yard change in field position. So Rogers electing to put the punt team on the field on 4th and 6. And the punt goes into the end zone, so all it does is changes the field position by 15 yards. Very surprised that we saw them punt the football there, but you have to believe that the thought was, well, if we get stopped on an incomplete pass, then Claremore's already got 15 yards. And remember, the Zebras still have all of their timeouts.
1st and 10 from their own 20. The direct snap to Heisey. Now he'll hand it off. Coming back to the left and straight ahead. 30-yard line to the 35. Dragging tacklers up to the 37-yard line. Ball pops loose. Rogers recovers at the 31.
Well, I tell you what, it certainly looked like forward progress had been stopped. And Broucher was being held up for an awfully long time. And that's really been a point of emphasis the last couple of years for the officials, is to pay close attention to where the momentum stops of the runner, where the forward progress stops, and you call the play dead.
Well, and it appears that's what they will change the call to. Claremore 1st and 10 from their own 38. So nice run from Riley Broucher.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've grown to expect to see from him after seeing what he did in Week 1. Broucher had 4 runs of 10-plus yards in Week 1. So anytime you see him touch the ball, you kind of expect a big play to come out of it.
Zebras 1st and 10 from their own 38. McCullough in the gun. Icy to his left. McCullough the snap. Taking it up the middle, now angling left at the 40. And he'll be stopped there for about a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8. Clock ticking with 1:46 left in the first half.
Well, you've got to be very careful here with clock management. Claremore again, they've got all 3 of their timeouts. You have the clock that stops anytime there is a first down to reset the chains. But Claremore with a significant opportunity here to perhaps get some more points on the scoreboard going into halftime. Remember, field goal kicking is an issue for Claremore coming into this season.
Zebras 2nd and 8 from their own 40. Here's McCullough rolling right, wants to pass. Stops at the hash mark, gets nailed as he throws. A high wobbly pass, and it is incomplete, and McCullough's not getting up quickly. And a hard hit right after McCullough threw from Gary Frederick. But it looks like McCullough's popped up.
Well, glad to see him get back to his feet. It doesn't look like he's limping at all, but certainly that's a big shot to take. And it looks like he might be holding his left arm in a little bit. Don't know if it's the hand, the arm. They're going to pull him out of the game, though, instantly and bring Noah Grimmett in. Noah Grimmett has the ability to throw the football, but he's more of a running-style quarterback. Got a big-time frame and can give you a lot in the ground game.
Zebras 3rd and 8 from their own 40. Direct snap to Heisey, looking left. Now turns it upfield and falls forward to the 42-yard line for a 2-yard gain. 4th and 6, and the clock at 1:05 in this first half.
And this is where Rogers really hurt themselves by using all of those timeouts in the first quarter. They didn't have any timeouts coming into this second period. And so now Claremore's going to be able to let this clock down. The play clock's still just now starting. And so Claremore can wait all the way down to about 27 seconds before they even have to snap the football. And probably what they'll do, just to ensure that there is no issues, take a timeout right when that play clock gets down to 1 or 2 seconds, and then you punt the football away.
And the timeout. So, 30 seconds left in the second quarter. Claremore leading Rogers 6-0.
Another scoring update from Class 6A Division II. Bigsby up huge on East Central early, 38-0. Guthrie up on Ponca City, 14-7. Bartlesville leads Cassia Hall, 14-zip. Midwest City, 13-0 over Carl Albert. Same score, Sand Springs, 13-0 over Enid. Mustang leading Stillwater, 14-0. And Lawton MacArthur, your defending 5A state champions, leading 6A Division II Lawton, 6-0.
Got some 5A scores for you now. Just throw out the disclaimer that every now and again some of these are wrong. I think the first one is wrong because I don't see Deer Creek leading Norman 714-7. Could be wrong. But here's one that surprises me. Bixby leading East Central 38-0. Not saying that Bixby isn't great. Obviously, coming off of winning the state championship last year, we know they're very good. East Central normally is as well. Noble leading Chickasha 7-zip. McAllister over Coweta 8-6. We've got Guthrie over Ponca City 14-7. More scores as the night goes on. Quickly, Collinsville 7, Catoosa 0. So 4th and 6 for the Zebras from their own 42-yard line. Here's the slow snap, and the right-footed punt is away. Takes a good Zebra bounce inside the 20, and is going to roll dead near the 15. And the clock will stop at 17 seconds. So the Mounties will have 1st and 10 from their own 15. 43-yard punt.
Good punting so far from Derek Brazel. That's just his second punt, 36 yards on the first and 43 here on the second. And if you'll notice, Rogers had no rush on that punt whatsoever. Brazel probably could have held on to that ball for 5 or so more seconds. Rogers was just waiting to see which direction it went.
So Soltemeyer in the victory formation will take a knee. 6-0, Claremore leads at halftime. Take a 3-minute break, add up some stats. We'll be back with those and the halftime show. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio and ClaremoreZebras.tv.
In as little as 12 months, with a diploma from Spartan College, you could have a career in aviation and beyond. At Spartan, you don't just study airplanes, you're surrounded by them. Some 40 at our flight campus, another 20 at our technology campus, This is a college where you can pilot planes, repair planes, learn everything there is to know about planes, inside and out.
To have you with us on 91.3 FM, and also glad now to have you on ZTV. And we know how frustrating it can be when there's issues, and when you've got a live broadcast that you want to see but you can't. Just want to tell you that the ZTV crew was working feverishly through almost that entire first half, and just those electric gremlins giving them all sorts of problems. And so we're going to be running, I think, the rest of this game with one camera unless we can find a solution for that. But that's the bare minimum we can do, so that's what we will do now that it's working somewhat. So more on those gremlins I spoke of about a little bit later in tonight's broadcast, as it involves an NFL team and an NFL game from last night. But first, want to get you stats from this game. Again, Claremore leading 6-0 over the Rogers Mounties. Claremore 1 of 3 passing for 13 yards. I had 16 rushes for 100 yards for 113-yard total, 6 first downs, and 3 penalties for 15 yards. Rogers, 2 of 6 passing for 38 yards. Also, they had 20 rushes for 57 yards for a 95-yard total. 6 first downs, 4 penalties for 20 yards. So really, on paper, pretty even in those stats columns, and not too uneven on the scoreboard. Zebras by 6.
I don't think there was too many surprises here throughout the first half. We expected both teams to come out and try to establish the run early. And when you look at those stats, Claremore was able to run the football. Rogers was not. Now, Rogers got much better at defending the run after that opening Claremore drive. But when you really think about it, Claremore hardly got a chance to touch the football. I mean, that was a 6-play opening drive for a touchdown. Then they blocked a field goal after a long Rogers drive and fumbled the ensuing play and gave it right back to the Mounties. The following drive was a 3-and-out for Claremore. And then the same thing after 1 first down. They had another 3-and-out, so 4 total plays on that final drive for the Zebras. So 4 total drives, and none of those drives went longer than 6 plays. This Claremore offense hasn't spent much time on the field. The Claremore defense has spent a lot of time on the field. I think in the second half, to avoid getting worn down, Claremore is going to have to try to sustain some drives, keep themselves on the field, and certainly you're going to have to build up this lead. 6 points I don't think is going to be enough to win this football game.
Nope, going to need some more production in the second half for sure. So we'll talk a little bit more about this game as halftime goes on and get you set with keys to the second half as we get closer to the beginning of the third quarter. Let's check in with some scores from around the state. Starting in 6A, Division I, Norman North leads Yukon 21-14. Edmond North and Edmond Memorial still tied up at 7. Southmore leads Westmore 27-14 now. Jinx and Union showing tied at 14. 21-0 Mustang leads Stillwater and Owasso over Muskogee 14-7.
In Class 6A Division II, Bartlesville leading Cassia Hall 14-0. Bigsby up on East Central 38-zip. Midwest City leads 5A Carl Albert 21-0. Sand Springs leading Enid 13-zip. 5A Guthrie leading 6A Ponca City 14-7. Mustang leading Stillwater 21-0. Lawton MacArthur, defending 5A state champ, leading Lawton 13-zip. And that is all from Class 6A Division II.
All right, taking a look at 5A. Deer Creek, now that's still that faulty score showing 714-7. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's 14-7 Deer Creek, but Bixby 38, East Central 0. How about Noble shutting out Chickasha 21-zip? McAllister leads Coweta 14-6. Also, Guthrie over Ponca City 14-7. Western Heights 13, Capitol Hill 0. And El Reno blanking Woodward currently 21-0. Midwest City over Carl Albert 21-0. How about the Battle of the Bishops? Kelly leads McGinnis 7-0 in the latest score. We have that from that game. Shawnee trailing Duncan 14-6. Lawton Mac over Lawton High 13-0. Memorial and Edison playing tonight. Memorial's got a 3-point lead, 10-7 over Edison. And Grove leads J 25-20. Sapulpa currently shutting out Tulsa Hale 27-0.
In Class 4A, Metro Christian up on Oklahoma Christian 14-0. Glenpool leading Beggs 10-zip. Poto trailing Van Buren, Arkansas, 6-0. McLeod and Perkins Tryon still deadlocked at 0. Heritage Hall and Clinton tied up at 14. Newcastle leading Tuttle 6-0. Marlow over Elgin 13-zip. Stigler leading Salisaw 7-0. And Hera and Jones, no score yet in that game early on. Verdigris and Miami just underway as well.
And in Class 3A, still showing no score between Claremore, Sequoia, and Sperry. And right now, Inola leading Salina 7-0. So there's so many 3A scores. I don't think we want to go over all of those. Just wanted to hit a couple of the schools closer to home for us. 6-0 your score at halftime. Claremore leading Rogers. Another 3-minute break, and the halftime show continues. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio and ClaremoreZebras.tv.
El Banquete, we assure you of our fresh food and produce, handled by our finest cooks and servers. Come on down and enjoy some delicious and complimentary chips and salsa. We also offer you free Wi-Fi with your 15% discount with your student ID. We take the liberty of making our fresh guacamole directly at your table. So make your way down to El Banquete Mexican Grill today, located across the street from Sonic on Will Rogers Boulevard.
Stop by the District on Main. We exclusively carry Kendra Scott along with other name brands such as Fossil, Brighton, Lauren James, and Southern Marsh. Also, show your support for your favorite college football team with our OU and OSU attire. Why travel to Tulsa for your name brands when you can stay local? Shop the District on Main.
Leading the Rogers Mounties 6-0. Bryant Ferguson and Josh Haley joining you here at halftime. Mike Brower, our producer, back at RSU Radio Studios, producing tonight's game as always. You can catch him also at Friday at 1 o'clock for RSU Game Winner, the sports talk show here on RSU Radio. Talked a lot of fantasy football today as they had their drafts and the NFL got kicked off last night, so a little bit more on that later. But let's just talk again, not to hammer home these facilities, but I do want to just talk about Rogers itself. Look at the crowd that they've brought out tonight. I'd say overall the stands maybe a little bit bigger than what we're used to at Lanto Field in Claremore, and it's a packed house. Even at halftime, a lot of people sticking around. The band has finished their performance and walking off, but they brought the fans out for sure, and why not at a great facility like this? Wouldn't you want to come out and watch high school football on a Friday night? Looks like a lot of Zebra fans have made the trip, even part of the Red Army we can see over there, and very spirited into the game as always, so good to see that. But just remember, we've got you covered here both on 91.3 FM and ClaremoreZebras.tv if you're unable to make it to either the home or the road games. Now, remember both of those, 91.3 FM and ClaremoreZebras.tv, because every now and then things happen. And always our computers don't always cooperate with us, or other sound equipment, communication lines, whatever the case may be. So you can I don't think we've ever had both of those offline at the same time. So one way or another, we've got you covered. And it may just depend on your circumstances, what you happen to be doing on these Friday evenings, whether you're driving across town or maybe you work. We've talked to some police officers before and first responders who like to listen to the games, and glad to have them listening as well. But if you only have internet access, you're not close enough to the station to get it over the air, you can do rsuradio.com/live. RSU is in Rogers State University, rsuradio.com, and catch the audio stream of these Zebra games should something be happening. And again, want to compliment the ZTV crew. We're working as hard as possible and able to get it to where we at least have a bare bones web stream, if you will. We've got one camera going, part of the graphics going, but not the usual show. And it's, I assure you, no fault of these students. Just things not working the way they're supposed to. You can have as nice of facilities as you want. That doesn't mean all this stuff is going to work the way it is supposed to for one reason or another. More on that type of situation that happened in Pittsburgh, or I should say in Boston in the Steelers and Patriots game last night. We'll talk about that when we've got a few moments in the second half. But Josh, what we've done over these last several years at halftime, we've got time to talk either college sports or high school or pro or whatever the case may be. But we always would do a segment, at least on radio, didn't always get it on ZTV, but we always said, who would you boo? What was it for that? Well, I think keeping it in high school, pretty unanimous choice this week would be the high school players in the San Antonio area targeting the official after play. Did you not see this?
I did not see this.
Well,
Glad I
apparently
didn't.
on the previous play, or just shortly before that, I believe it was the previous play, a couple of players had been ejected. Now, there is video from several different angles of this, but the umpire, of course, standing behind the defense still in high school, pardon me, standing there with his back to safety and linebacker. Safety comes up and just blindsides him hard. He goes flying and falling, as I think it was the linebacker. Don't hold me to these positions, but a second player comes in who I think had planned to hit him as well, but he's already down on the ground, so he spears him head first as this official's. So it's turned into this big firestorm, but accusations going both ways, rumors coming all over the place of what really happened, what led to this, who said, who directed whom to do this, and whatnot. But it was disgusting to watch. I will just say that. And my comments on it, as I said on Twitter this week, I have no idea as a broadcaster what I would say witnessing that, because there's not a whole lot of good things you could say seeing that, and it just.
It's a lose-lose situation is what it is.
Yeah.
I've seen broadcasters say things to 100% accurately describe bad things they see on the field of play, and then they get in trouble for it. So
or lose their job.
Yes. So, but I can't imagine that would have been easy to see the video of. I did not see that, but
right.
It sure is a shame. Everybody makes mistakes, so I'm not one to throw, and you aren't either. I'm not implying that, but boy, that's just a bad thing to see, and certainly at this level especially.
Well,
you always hope for the utmost sportsmanship.
Right, and part of those rumors are some comments that the allegedly official made that made some of these players upset. And if that's the case, it is completely unacceptable. And it could be the case. I don't know. Obviously, we weren't there, but these players still did that to the official, and it was pretty tough to see. So, anyway, speaking of social media, big stepped-up effort this year from ZTV, at CZebras TV on Twitter. You can catch them live tweeting during games, also tweeting about
fourth quarter. Things are not decided, and you've got a lot of pressure mounting up on you. And so for this Claremore team last week to play a game like that, it came down to the wire. Every play mattered up until the final whistle. To get that type of experience early, not only for this team itself, but this team that contains a lot of young and inexperienced players, to get that experience early on, I think was huge. So regardless of what the end result is tonight, I think that Claremore benefited a lot from the way last week's game turned out to prepare them for this close type of game that they're in tonight.
All right. The Mounties take to the field. Claremore will be kicking away to get things started here in the second half. Oscar Irahita, one of those deep to receive, also Jeb Brain. Teeter's kick towards the far side. And will be brought in at the 32. So brought in by Bradley Brown, and actually cost his team a few yards there by fielding that one and running out at the 32 rather than letting the ball go out. Getting it at 35, so the Mounties will start 1st and 10 from their own 32.
Rogers has had pretty good starting field position the majority of this night. Remember, They got to start after the Claremore fumble at the 50-yard line. Then Claremore went for it on 4th down, didn't get it on the next drive. Rogers got to start at the 39. So to have 2 drives start at midfield or better and to have no points, got to be thinking they've missed out on some opportunities.
1st and 10. Here's a handoff going straight up the middle, and he'll push forward to the 34-yard line for a 2-yard gain to bring up 2nd and 8. Sage White with the carry.
One thing about this Rogers team, as much as they have ran the football, you have to think that everybody in their backfield is still fresh because they have used 3 different running backs. But the thing is, the quarterback, Soltemeyer, has the bulk of the carries. He's already got 8 carries in this game. So by mixing it up, going with a different stable of backs, 3 or 4 guys running the football, carrying the workload, they're all fresh at the end of the game.
2nd and 8 for the Mounties from their own 34. There's a handoff, escapes a tackle in the backfield, now reverses field at the 30, and pulled down and stopped near the original line of scrimmage. Probably ran about 35 yards or more to get there, but good job by the Zebra defense to prevent a long run. Freeland with the carry, and several Zebras in there on the stop. So it'll be 3rd and 8.
Yeah, Freeland fortunate there that they didn't lose any yards on the play. Had to do a lot of work. He's a quick back. A lot of these guys that have come into the backfield, there hasn't been any really bruising backs. Your quarterback's the biggest guy running the football. These running backs are small, quick, very shifty.
3rd and 8 for the Mounties from their own 34. Snap, now the handoff straight ahead. And Blocker's trying to push, but they'll get him up to the 39-yard line for about a 5-yard gain. It should bring up 4th and 3 with Sage White with the carry.
That's a big win right off the bat for this Claremore defense. To have Rogers come out and go 3 and out on their opening drive of this second half, you really kind of make them think, okay, here we go again. This is how we struggled in the first half, and Claremore's come out and shutting us down, shutting our run game down once again. But if you're Claremore, with Rogers struggling on offense, you're going to have to be aware of anything. I have to think that Claremore's pretty alert here, looking out for fakes.
4th and 3 for the Mounties from their own 39. Snap to the punter, and the right-footed punt is away. High spiraler. Take a great bounce to the Mounties, and then bobbled, but I believe the Zebras brought it in at the 26. They did. 1st and 10 for the Zebras from there. And a 35-yard punt, and no return. 6-0, Claremore leads Rogers. 9:43 left here in the 3rd quarter. And as we check in with Jenks and Union, 14-14 their score there. Now here is a stat that I have, and I know it's accurate because it's from the Tulsa World's Barry Lewis, who's been very good to us over the years and come on with us a few times. Total yards in the first half, Jenks 248, Union 92.
Wow.
1st and 10 for the Zebras from their own 27. Snap to McCullough. Spins around but takes it himself up the middle. Now a spin move with the 30 and forward to the 36-yard line as a Zebra's helmet goes rolling off. But about an 8-yard gain. It'll bring up 2nd and 2 from just outside the 36.
Well, what that stat probably means is that Union will have a 98-yard screen pass with 1 second left to score the game-winning touchdown, and then Jenks will win the state championship later in the season.
Well, it actually is. I was corrected, 21-14 at half. But even so, those stats are right. 2nd and 2 for the Zebras from the 35. Snap to McCullough. Takes it himself. Fighting for the first down, and he's got it. Up to the 39-yard line. Still fighting more up at the 40. 5-yard gain, 1st and 10 Zebras.
That's the first down for Claremore in some time. They had 1 first down in the 2nd quarter. All the rest of them came on their opening drive. You mentioned Barry Lewis for the Tulsa World and how good he's been to us. And, boy, I tell you, if anybody reads the Tulsa World or keeps up with high school sports or the Tulsa Drillers, then you know the name Barry Lewis. He's been covering sports in the Tulsa areas for around 30 years, and you are not going to find a guy that is more knowledgeable. Yeah. He is a walking encyclopedia of sports.
1st and 10 Zebras from their own 40. Here's the handoff over to the left side at the 41-yard line for a 1-yard gain. And Riley Broucher with the 1-yard run, 2nd and 9.
Now, when we talked to head coach Rob Gilbreth before this season started, asked him, who's going to see the carries in this backfield? We knew Keegan Heisey would be the starter and handle the biggest part of the workload, but who else will we see in there? And Riley Broucher was one of the first names out of his mouth, and boy, has he played well.
2nd and 9 from the 41. Here's Heisey in the backfield in trouble. And stopped back at the 38 for a 3-yard loss. 3rd and 12.
Well, that's a tough play, and that puts you in a very similar situation of what we said Claremore wanted to try to avoid. You want to have to throw the football in this second half. You were able to have one completion for 13 yards in the first half, but you don't want to have to throw it on 3rd and long.
Zebras 3rd and 12 from their own 38-yard line. McCullough in the gun takes a snap, rolling out right. Here's the rush. Hit as he throws, and he smartly throws it at the receiver's feet, and it is incomplete. And good show of sportsmanship there from the Mounties, from Gary Frederick, who knocked McCullough down on the play, then goes over and reaches out a hand to help him up. 4th and 12.
Well, I tell you what, whoever handles Aaron McCullough and kind of looks at him and gives him his coaching on the sidelines in between series, I'm giving him a big-time pat on the back after that. You mentioned smartly throwing it into the ground. That is a mature play that he just made, realizing that you're not going to get the first down. Don't try to be a hero. Just throw it into the ground and live to fight another day.
And there's the right-footed punt, a little exchange between a punter and a rusher, going for a little extra. Right in front of the head referee, but a 26-yard punt and no return. So, ball spotted at the 36. 1st and 10 for the Mounties from their own 36, and the head referee now talking to Jay Young, who was going after Brazel a little bit there.
This is about the spot where Rogers gave it up, so they lose nothing. They lose no field position, and when you have two teams that love to run the football, field position is so important. Starting from your own 36, that's a pretty good advantage.
1st and 10. Handoff, sweeping around the right side, 35-yard line now to the 40. He's hit it hard a couple times there. Still can't take him off his feet. He'll go out of bounds at the 40 after a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7.
Now you put an awful lot of pressure on the defense when you take a speedy back like Freeland and start sending him east to west. You've got to take the perfect angle if you're those Claremore linebackers. Brady Kropp did a good job to get the first hand on him, and then just a swarm of Zebras in thereafter.
Second and 7 for the Mounties from their own 40. Soltemeyer in the pistol. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff. He'll take it himself up the middle to the 45-yard line. Runs into a big pile of Zebra defenders there, but it would appear he's got the first down at the 47.
They haven't asked Soltemeyer to keep the ball very much late in the second quarter and here in the early going in the third, but remember, he was the leading rusher for this team in the first half in terms of total carries, had 8 carries, and pretty effective when he ran it. Had a couple for loss, but had some good gains in there, and he's got a big frame, so he can absorb the contact and pick up extra yards.
So timeout for measurement, and they'll bring the chains onto the field. It looked initially like the Mounties had gotten the first down. We're not going to be able to see. Our view's blocked, so we'll just wait for the signal. A couple inches short. Third and inches as the Zebras lead by 6 midway through the third.
Well, if I'm calling the play here for Rogers, I say silent snap count, quarterback sneak. They've used that already earlier in this game, and it worked for them. But it doesn't look like Soltemeyer's even going to get under center.
Third and inches from the 47. And yes, now he will step under center. There's the sneak, and he's got it.
It's almost an unstoppable play in high school football, especially when you have a larger frame quarterback like that. If you need inches or 1 yard, if you've got a big frame quarterback, that play is it's pretty foolproof.
County's 1st and 10 from their own 49. Soltemeyer in the pistol. And flags and whistles. Sideline warning. And that one's against the Mounties. So 1st and 10 still from the 49. Soltmeyer in the pistol. The snap. Fakes the handoff. Now the pitch on the sweep around the left side of the 50-yard line. Forward to the 45. Found the big hole. Now to the 30. Near sideline. Needs a block. To the 5. Touchdown, Rogers. Freeland with the 51-yard run.
Well, sometimes it only takes one play to change the whole complexity of a ball game, and we talked about the speed of this stable of backs for Rogers, and Freeland broke one tackle, and no one was able to catch him.
Chris Lopez in to attempt the extra point. His holder will be Jay Young. Has missed one. Snap. The hold down. The kick is up. And it is good. 7-6. Rogers has the lead. 5:19 left in the third quarter. We'll take a break. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio and ClaremoreZebras.tv. Lead over Claremore. 5:19 left in the third quarter. Bryant Ferguson back with Josh Haley. Glad to have you with us here on ZTV and RSU Radio. And a 51-yard on 51-yard run on the previous play from Malacio Freeland, I should say, as the Mounties prepare to kick away. Chris Lopez. Another deep kick. This one brought in at the 3-yard line. Zebra straight ahead to the 10, 15, 20. Now looking for some room and found it to the 45-yard line, 35-yard line. Just tripped up and stopped at the 37. And it was Jonathan Cox with the return.
Well, talking about the speed of Freeland, Jonathan Cox, a guy with a ton of speed for the Claremore Zebras, and giving the Zebras one of their best starting field positions of the night at their own 37. That's been about the worst starting field position we've seen on most drives for Rogers. On the flip side of that, Claremore's got to come out and find a way to move the football on this drive. Too many 3-and-outs on their last few possessions.
1st and 10, Zebras from their own 37. Snap, here's Heisey. Straight up the middle across the 40-yard line and gets it forward to the 44 for a 7-yard gain, 2nd and 3.
And this is where you really can't grow content. Yes, that was a successful play, but now that gives you the ability to try to mix something else in and hopefully catch Rogers off guard. So they've caught on tonight. They've given up a few big plays here and there, but for the majority of the time, they're able to string together 2 or 3 solid plays defensively.
Zebra 2nd and 3 from their own 44. Direct snap to Heisey. Pushing forward, gets it up to the 49-yard line. He's got the first down. 5-yard gain. And Zebras are approaching Mountie territory.
Now Claremore will bring in a new crew of receivers like they typically do. And this offensive line has got to be fresh as well. We talked about the few plays that Claremore has run in this game. Less than 30 plays offensively that Claremore's run so far, so everyone should be pretty fresh.
1st and 10 from their own 49. Here's a handoff around the left side. Broucher across midfield And up to the Mountie 46-yard line for a 5-yard gain, 2nd and 5.
There's the creativity. There's where Rob Gilbreth and his staff start to really go to work. And you had a couple of running plays up the middle on the direct snap to Heisey that worked out well for you. And then you get a little bit creative with it. Broucher came just in motion right as the snap was occurring, running east-west, and took that. And there was a fake to the right side. The defense, part of them didn't really know where to go. So a 5-yard gain isn't huge, but you just showed Rogers another look.
2nd and 5, direct snap to Heisey, working around the left side, has McCullough to block. Gets a block. There he is at the 35's got a chance to score. Far sidelines, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Claremore. Keegan Heisey.
There's the breakaway speed of Keegan Heisey that you knew he had in his arsenal coming into this game. And Claremore got creative. They didn't have to put the ball in the air, but they continue to be creative offensively, different formations, different looks, moving some linemen around, and then all of a sudden, just the same way Rogers did, you're able to break one loose. And I think for Claremore here, you certainly want to go for 2.
And in jogs junior quarterback Aaron McCullough to the huddle. Looking to make the lead 7. They've got 2 on the play clock, need to hurry. There's the snap to Heisey. Looking up the middle, pushing for the goal line. And is he in? Wait for the ruling from the officials. Claremore says yes. The officials say no. 12-7. Following the failed 2-point conversion attempt, Claremore leads Rogers. 3:36 left here in the 3rd quarter in Rogers. MoreClaremore.com is a proud supporter of Claremore Zebra football and this broadcast. More Claremore provides positive community journalism, a community calendar, and videos of events from around the Claremore area. Be more, do more. MoreClaremore.com.
Well, that could turn out to be a big play, the missed 2-point conversion. I agree 100% with the call to go for it there. And even though Rogers has a missed field goal tonight and a blocked field goal, they did make the extra point that they attempted. And the way that their kicker was warming up, the distance that they had faith in him on that first field goal attempt, you got to think that their kicking game is pretty solid despite what's happened so far tonight. So you don't want to take any chances and leave this game up to an extra point. You take things into your own hands and say, I like our odds better to try to score from 3 yards out than to try to block an extra point.
Peters kickoff towards the far side, and they'll bring it in this time at the 28 and go out of bounds. Didn't learn from the last one. They lost 7 on this one.
Just not having the awareness on the field.
1st and 10 Mounties from their own 28. Again, 3:36 left in the 3rd, 12-7. Claremore with the lead.
Well, for the Zebras, after that big touchdown run by Freeland, it'll be interesting to see how this defense responds. But again, that was not a long drive by Claremore, so your defense steps right back on the field.
Mounties 1st and 10 from their own 28. Soltemeyer in the pistol. Takes the snap. Hand off to White. Just across the 30-yard line, close to the 31, so we'll call it a 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7.
Rogers, as a team now, 123 yards rushing, and that coming on 27 attempts. So for Claremore, they've done a pretty solid job containing the run tonight. If you take away that 51-yard touchdown run, those Rogers numbers looking pretty grim on the ground attack.
Well, spotted closer to the 30, so we'll call it 2nd and 8 from the 30. Soltemeyer still the pistol. Snap, fakes the handoff. Soltemeyer keeps it himself at the middle. Here comes the flags as he'll get it forward to the 35-yard line. For a 5-yard gain would be 3rd and 2. We'll see. It's holding against the Mounties.
Well, and Rogers has already done enough to hurt themselves with penalties tonight. That will be their 5th penalty, and that is a real killer.
So it's back to the 25. Need to get to the 38 for a first down. 2nd and 13. Zebras lead by 5, 2.5 to play in the third quarter. Soltemeyer, the quarterback. Takes the snap for Rogers, backs up to pass, looking right, then throws one over the middle, intercepted by Claremore. Turn around the other way at the 30, and pull down as he backs up to the 34-yard line. And that one picked off by Benjamin Jones, sealing the win last week, and comes up with a big pick this week.
Well, Ben Jones, a sophomore, and when we talked to head coach Rob Gilbert coming into the season, he said, yeah, we're going to stick with that traditional 4-4 defense that you've seen from us in past years. And we looked at Ben Jones and said, a sophomore starting at safety, that's a pretty big job to be the lone man there in the back. And he said, yeah, but he can handle it. And he's shown us a lot of stuff over the summer and already so far in the fall. He's really impressed us. The level that he has developed at in a short amount of time has really impressed this coaching staff and makes a huge play there.
In an injury timeout, 2:20 to play, 12-7, Claremore leads Rogers here in the third quarter. We've got a timeout for an injury. I think it's Starkey. It looks like it's cramps that they're dealing with. But once we can get a better look at him, we'll see exactly who it is. But apologize for technical difficulties earlier. Appreciate you sticking with us. Speaking of those technical difficulties and electronics not always working right, Josh, how about last night in Foxborough with the team's communication headsets? And we all know the things the Patriots have been accused of in these last 10-plus years, not really always playing by the rules, so the opponents say. But the Pittsburgh coaches were getting the radio feed from New England Patriots radio in their team headsets. Now, here's the thing. I am not sticking up for the Steelers or not saying anything happened. I'm saying these type of things are certainly possible and do happen. You and I can relate to almost the same situation. We'll get back to that just in a few minutes. 1st and 10 now for the Zebras. And here's a snap, direct snap to a running back up the left side across the 15-yard line to the 14. And it was Kyle Morris with the carry in the game of 5, brings up 2nd and 5. But about 2 years ago, you and I were calling separate games. I was filling in for Sean Tiemann, calling an RSU basketball game on RSU radio. You were at the Diamond Sports Complex calling a softball game, I believe it was, for RSU. And you had me in your ear the entire time. No shared equipment, no shared lines, no shared nothing. That's just to say that these kind of things happen. 2nd and 5 from the 14. And here's a carry going straight up the middle as the flag comes into the pile as it pushes forward to the 10-yard line. Would have been a 4-yard gain, but we'll check on this penalty. But just another thing to add to that situation, when these electronic equipment, what one factor increases the chances tenfold on this equipment acting up, and it's rain. And it was raining in Foxborough last night. Holding against the Zebras will back them up significantly back out of the red zone into the 23-yard line. So again, not sticking up, not saying that is what happened. This is NFL-owned and operated equipment. So for a short time, they went over and took the Patriots, because that's the rule. If one team's headsets go down, you've got to take the other ones away. And as they walked over there, apparently the radio feed went away. And then as they said, oh, okay, everything's fine, and walked away, it apparently came back. Really weird stuff going on. 2nd and 14 for the Zebras from the Mounties 23. Here's the high snap. Heisey brings that one in straight ahead and lowering his head at the 20, pushing forward to the 16-yard line. And that'll bring up 3rd and 7. And another injury timeout on the field, this time for a Rogers Mountie. Now, do you remember that situation happened to us a couple years ago?
I do. Very bizarre. Nobody could figure it out. It was
no explanation.
You had, between all of us who were involved, over 100 years of broadcasting experience probably,
yeah.
and nobody had a clue.
You're calling it on the Hillcat Network online. I'm calling on RSU Radio. I've got my equipment, my communications line, all that. You had yours across town, not too far across town, but you know, as a crow flies a couple miles. I still to this day can't explain it. So, and all the things that go on in a stadium at one time. I mean, you can see that, yes, Yes, this could be manipulated by humans. Don't want to ignore that fact, but between the PA, the scoreboard, the jumbotron, the broadcast both for both teams' radios, the national radio networks, the TV coverage, the game day operation stuff, and all that communication, so much going on in one place at one time. I just can tell you, just don't write it off saying, well, it's the Patriots, they're cheaters, because that may have been the case. Weird things happen. And we can get up here and test all of this equipment for hours on end, and when it's go time, it'll stop working. Work beautifully, and then just for no reason at all, stop working, and when it starts working, you have no explanation for what made it start working. Max Horton was the injured Rogers Mountie, so he'll gingerly walk back to his sidelines. But, yeah, interesting one you missed. I know you came in late last night from work, but pretty weird.
Well, and the way you described it, how it was on, then when the NFL checked it, it was gone, and then it came back on. It's almost like the old trick where somebody's behind you flipping the TV with a different remote.
Right. 3rd and 7. Here's Heisey around the left side to the 15-yard line. Throws a stiff arm near the 10 and picked up and driven into the turf. Near the 10-yard line. I think he's just a little bit short, but again, depends on the exact spot that they give him. It would appear he is short, right at the nose of the football, right up to the 10-yard line. I think he's got to get to the 9. It's really difficult from this angle to see, and shadows and whatnot on the far side. The chain crew opposite sides of the field from us.
And Claremore is going to have to run at least one more play here in the third quarter. The play clock just about 7 seconds ahead of the game clock.
4th and a yard from the 10 of the Mounties. Snap. Quarterback trying to sneak it going up the middle, but started out actually back in the shotgun, and it was Noah Grimmett just on the quarterback draw going up the middle. Couldn't get it. Turns it over on downs. 1st and 10 Mounties from the 10.
Well, I got to tell you, I like the call there. Noah Grimmett, as we mentioned, he's a very physical quarterback, a very good runner, but Rogers played that perfectly. An interior lineman just got up through one of the gaps, and he went low on Grimmett, and once his feet were taken out from under him, there's no chance to get that first down. If you go to tackle somebody high, there's a chance they can drive their legs forward for another couple of yards. But taking his feet out from under him, there was no chance for that first down to be picked up.
Twelve to 7, Claremore still leads Rogers very late in the third quarter. 1st and 10 for the Mounties from just outside their own 10. Saltemeyer in the pistol. Takes the snap, fakes the handoff. Now he's going to take himself up across the 20-yard line to the 25, still pulling the pile, and several Zebras will come in and eventually stop him at the 27. They'll pick up the first down, 1st and 10 Mounties. From their own 27, that was the final play of the third quarter. 12 to 7, Claremore leads Rogers in Rogers. We'll take a break. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio and ClaremoreZebras.tv. 177-yard total to Claremore's 203, and a Claremore 5-point lead. 2nd and 10 for the Mounties. Fake handoff. Soltemeyer keeps it himself, looking around the left side of the line. He'll get it forward to the 30 before being stopped there by the Zebra defense. And with the tackle for Claremore was Mickey Bywaters. 3rd and 8.
Well, you mentioned the yards total, and while they might be somewhat close, Rogers has ran significantly more amount of plays than the Claremore Zebras. So Claremore's been a little bit more effective on offense, but they just haven't ran as many plays. And when you look at Claremore, they turned the ball over once, and they have had 2 3-and-outs in this game and another couple of drives that have been less than 6 plays long.
Soltemeyer on 3rd and 8 from his own 30, backs up to pass, looking right, throws right, got a man open, caught at the 38-yard line. He's got the first down up to the 40 before being hit and stopped by Garrett Reynolds. And the pass completed to Jake Benninghoff. 1st and 10 Mounties.
We certainly haven't seen Rogers attempt to throw the ball very much tonight. You mentioned 2 of 8 on passing attempts, but coming through there, and he and Benninghoff looked like on that play that they had hooked up many times before. They were very comfortable. Threw that ball before Benninghoff made his cut, and it was right on the money.
1st and 10 Mounties from their own 42. Pistol formation. Now a man in motion left. Here's a handoff to the tailback going right up the middle. He'll be stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain. And good hit and stop from Isaac Shields. I beg your pardon, John Powers with the stop, and now an injured Rogers Mountie near midfield. They'll stop the clock at 10:35. Claremore leading 12-7.
We've seen too many injuries tonight. A lot of times this early in the season, you'll see a lot of it due to cramping, but that cold front blew in with some storms last night. Things not too hot out here this evening, so haven't seen a whole lot of cramping from these players, and well, you hate to see so many injuries in this game. In 6A Division II, Bartlesville leading Cassia Hall 28-0. Bigsby still up on East Central 38-zip. Midwest City leading Carl Albert 28-7. Guthrie up on Ponca City 14-7. Sand Springs leading Enid 20-7. Lawton Mac up on Lawton 13-zip. Booker T. Washington up 41-0 on Tulsa Central. Sapulpa leading Nathan Hale 55-0. A lot of people think Booker T. Washington could challenge for a state title in 6A2 this season. They were a lot of people's favorite, including mine, going into last season, and then Bigsby really came on strong as of late and won it convincingly in that 6A Division II state championship. You know, we talked a lot about 6A being divided up, last year being the first year, and really a great success. I think it worked out just the way folks thought it would.
This broadcast of Claremore Zebra football is sponsored by Carmick Pet Daycare, an indoor, outdoor, heated, and air-conditioned dog and cat motel. Carmick offers a daycare, play center, and obedience training. Located 1.5 miles north of RSU on Highway 88 in Claremore. More information on their Facebook page, Carmick Pet Daycare. And the injured player was Oscar Irahita. As he walks very slowly back over to his sidelines, we'll resume play. It'll be 2nd and 10. For Rogers from their own 42. Soltemeyer, the senior quarterback, in the pistol. Christian Brummett in at running back behind him. Soltemeyer back to pass. Looks left, throws left on the slant route, can't complete it. Pass was intended for Malacio Freeman. 3rd and 10.
Well, and now what do you do on this play? You've had a little bit of success throwing the football tonight, but overall just 3 of 10, an interception. And so the passing game has not been the strength of this Rogers team. But you have to think that they're in a situation now where they have to pass. You wouldn't necessarily describe this as 4-down territory. A lot of time still left in this football game.
3rd and 10, Mounties from their own 42. Soltemeyer in the pistol, takes the snap. 3-step drop. Now the pass to the left is broken up and falls incomplete. Alex Moore knocks that one away. It's 4th and 10.
I tell you what, Alex Moore continues to step up at big times for this Claremore team. Talked about the big play last week, the forced fumble and the fumble recovery, and then earlier in this game had a pass defended in the end zone to keep Rogers off of the board. It proved to be no points on the drive, and now gets that big knockdown on 3rd down.
Keegan Heisey lined up deep at his own 15-yard line. Rogers in punt formation. Now you've got Soltemeyer up here. That's a different player than has been the up man before.
He's looking at the sidelines, too, looking at the read, seeing what they want him to do.
Well, it's low snap. Bounces back to the punter. The right-footed punt is away. This one's deep. Heisey backing up to the 14. He's got it there. 20 now to the near side 25-yard line and knocked out, out of bounds, I should say, at the 26. 43-yard punt and about a 12-yard return, 1st and 10 for the Zebras from their own 26. 10:04 remains in tonight's game. 12-7. Claremore leads Rogers.
I tell you, the punting's been pretty good tonight for Rogers. The net average won't reflect it because they had their first 2 go into the end zone, but all of these have been deep punts, and that was a solid punt. The nice spiral, drifted high in the air, good hang time for 43 yards. You don't see that a lot at the high school level.
Zebras 1st and 10 from their own 27. Here's Heisey around the right side, across the 30, and up to the 31-yard line. And a 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7.
Well, this has been a solid night for Keegan Heisey. Just as expected, 16 carries, 128 yards. He has both Claremore touchdowns. He had a touchdown last week. So coming into this season, we knew that he would be the feature guy. Didn't know what the production would look like, but it's about as solid as you can get through 2 weeks of play.
Correction, 2nd and 6 from the 32. Here's a run straight up the middle across the 35 to the 36-yard line. 4-yard gain, 3rd and 2 from 36.
We talked about Claremore needing to sustain some drives here in this second half. This is a crucial time to sustain a drive. Your defense has continued to spend a lot of time on the field in this second half the same way they did in the first. If they're going to preserve this football game for you, you've got to give them a breather right now. You've got to shift the field position. Even if you don't score, continue to stay on the field offense and change that field position around.
3rd and 2 from the 36. Snap to Heisey. He's got McCullough to block for him as he goes up the right side of the line, falls forward to the 38-yard line. And close to the 1st down marker. Will depend on the spot. Oh, I don't know.
I think it's going to require a measurement.
1st down.
So there you go. Close play, but boy, did they need that.
8.5 to play in the game. Claremore 12. Rogers 7. Here in Rogers. Well, now, wait a minute. Now they're measuring. He said, get out of here. I already called 1st down, guys. Pay attention.
See this white hat here? That means I'm kind of a big deal. I kind of have authority here on this field because I am the white hat on this officiating crew.
Speaking of white hats, how about and referees? Not white hat, but Clay Martin, Jinx boys basketball coach, heading up to be an umpire in the NFL. First time I met him, he was refereeing a Claremore High School football game. A teammate of Tad Jones at TU is how I got to meet him. 1st and 10. Zebras now from their own 38. Aaron McCullough in the shotgun. Now there's a direct snap to Heisey. No, to another Zebra who took it up the middle up the left side of the line, I should say, to the 39-yard line. All kinds of misdirections, so confuse me. And Ben Jones able to pick up a yard to the 39, 2nd and 9.
Well, the remembrance that I have of Clay Martin, have never met him, but I went to high school at Nathan Hale. That's where he went, and I would always hear these legendary stories. He was certainly, he'll go down as one of the greatest athletes ever to come through Nathan Hale.
Yeah, I got to meet him through a few other friends in common. Always very, very Nice guy, and congratulations to him. I don't know whose crew he's working on. We were talking about that the other day. 2nd and 9 now from the 39. Here's Heisey. Around the right side, throws a stiff arm, and then gets hit and stopped at the 40 for a 1-yard gain. It's 3rd and 8. And an injured Rogers Mountie will stop the clock at 7:10. Zebras leading by 5 in the 4th.
Boy, once again, those injuries continue to pile up, and a player getting up slow for the Claremore Zebras as well. Heisey was a little slow to get up, and now he's kind of walking gingerly off the field. That's certainly a player you can't afford to lose.
Again, 7:10 remaining in tonight's game. Claremore leads Rogers 12-7. Back to Arkansas next week, Siloam Springs. And we'll have coverage here for you on ZTV and on 91.3 FM RSU Radio.
Well, even when you talk about all the injuries that have happened tonight, this game has moved along pretty quickly. That's what you expect to see when you have two running football teams. Between the two, have passed the ball less than 20 times tonight. Not a lot of scoring, so this thing has just continued to move right along. And I tell you, this is a big-time play for the Claremore Zebras coming up.
Lewis Salas was the injured Mountie. Good to see him walking under his own power. (24-21), Jinx now leading Union. 3:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. That one again from Barry Lewis.
Say that score again.
24-21. Yep. Looks like it's back to normal after a couple years of not as exciting. 3rd and 8 now for Claremore from their own 40-yard line. And this was a fake, went straight up ahead. The ball was never snapped to McCullough. It was run straight ahead up to the 50-yard line. Zebras got the first down into Mountie territory at the 49. And taking it up the middle was Ethan Jester.
Well, that's Ethan Jester's first carry of the night for Claremore, and you could call that the element of surprise. I think that's a play that Claremore would probably been holding on to in their pocket, waiting for the right time to use it. You have 3rd and long. Hey, just give it to the up-back, Ethan Jester. They haven't seen 34 carried all night, so why would they expect him to there? But he did a good job to pick up the first.
He was 1st and 10 from Rogers' 49-yard line. McCullough in the gun. Now there's the direct snap. Broucher going up the middle across the 45. He's got the close to the first down, actually, at the 40. And I correct myself, Kyle Morris with the carry for the Zebras. So 9-yard gain, 2nd and 1.
Kyle Morris, another one of those players for the Claremore Zebras that can provide a lot of production out of the backfield. One of your seniors, a guy that you expect to be productive with the ball. And, you know, he didn't see a lot of action last week against the Pryor Tigers, at least compared to the number of times Claremore ran the ball. But he did see plenty of opportunities, and he did a good job with them. That Claremore backfield combined to rush for well over 200 yards, and Morris was a big part of that.
2nd and a long yard from just outside the 40. There is Morris. Now he'll hand it off. Now it's Broucher coming around the left side across the 40 and up to the 37-yard line as a flag comes in from the backfield. Would have been a first down, but a penalty.
I think it's going to be a hold against Claremore.
Indeed it is.
Well, that one really hurts. Obvious. With 5:46 to play, it's going to back you up into your own territory most likely. And that is a spot foul, yeah, and that happened right at about the 43, 44-yard line.
Second and 13 for Claremore from their own 48.
So still a manageable situation because of the gain you got on first down, but you've got to have positive yardage here on this 2nd and long.
McCullough in the gun. There's the direct snap. Kyle Morris around the right side, 45-yard line, falls forward to the 50. 2-yard gain. 3rd and 11. And another injury timeout. This one came quickly, and we've got a zebra lying on his back. 5:16 remaining in the game, 12-7. Claremore leading Rogers in Rogers.
I can't see who it is down for Claremore, but the good news is I've seen some movement from the feet. It was laying very still at first, but some movement in the lower feet, and that's what you always look for. When you see a player go down to the ground, you always look to see if there's any movement at all, and when you see that initial movement, makes everybody take a big sigh of relief for sure.
Well, and when I said they stopped it quickly, I now think I see on the other side of this player, I believe I see a penalty flag, and I think we have a call coming. That is the case, so that's why they stopped it so quickly rather than for the injury. So we won't get the call just yet. But again, clock stops, 5:16 remaining in a 12-7 Claremore lead over Rogers.
Well, you mentioned for Claremore the upcoming schedule going to Siloam Springs next week, and it will be so crucial for Claremore if they can hold on and win this game tonight, that they pick up a lot of momentum and that they're able to figure some things out next week at Siloam Springs. You might come out of here tonight with a win and be sitting at 2-0, but I guarantee you there's a ton of things that head coach Rob Gilbert and his staff want to shore up, they want to get better at, and you're going to have to do that going into week 3, and more importantly, when you roll into district play in week 4. You don't want to look ahead, but you've got the Bigsby Spartans, the defending state champions, coming to Claremore. And those are the types of games that even if you're not able to come away with a win, that you're able to prove some things to yourself and prove that when the talent really, really starts to heat up and you see maybe the best team you're going to see all season, that you can play with them.
Well, we were blocked from ever seeing that player's number, but he did walk under his own power back to the Zebras bench.
And then a personal foul against the Rogers Mounties. A 15-yarder. And Rogers really has racked up the penalties tonight. Started off with a lot of petty type of penalties, 5-yarders here and there, but now they've been penalized 7 times for 55 yards, and the last 2 have been 15-yarders. Those are tough to swallow. And both teams have all of their timeouts still, but this game not getting any younger, and Claremore leading 12-7.
Zebras 1st and 10 from Rogers' 35-yard line. Heisey's got the snap. Looking up the right side of the line, he'll be hit and stopped at the line of scrimmage for no gain. And it's 2nd and 10. Jeb Brain with the stop.
It's good to see Heisey back in the game after he had somewhat limped off the field moments ago. It's his 20th carry of the night, 135 yards. Those have been some hard-earned yards, too. And when you look at the way that he started this game, he had 53 yards for Claremore on the opening drive, including the 19-yard touchdown run that capped off the drive. Since then, Rogers has done a really good job against him, especially when you consider that 46-yard touchdown run. Other than that, they've held him pretty quiet.
I think we've got a false start here. Indeed we do against Claremore. Back them up 5. It'll be 2nd and 15 from the 40.
The coaches are trying to signal up to the press box, the Rogers coaches that is, saying you need to add time to the clock.
Well, I know they were telling them timeout Claremore. 4:37 left in the game, 12-7. Claremore with the lead. This is a little weird because they had the clock stopped earlier, and we've got the coaches in the booth right next to us and can hear them. And I know the clock wasn't running when it was supposed to be. Well, now they're trying to add clocks, so I don't know. Did you happen to notice where the discrepancy was? We don't know.
Well, here's the things you have to consider if you're Claremore. Rogers has all 3 timeouts. 4:37 to play. You're up 12-7. You have a 2nd and 15 from the Rogers 40-yard line. So you've got to be extremely careful with how you play this out. But I tell you this, if I'm head coach Sean Flanagan, I'm remembering what Claremore did to me last year. Claremore got the ball back last season, leading 17-14 with over 6.5 minutes to play. Claremore ran virtually all that time off the clock. Rogers didn't get it back until about 14 seconds left in the game. It's that type of time management that has made head coach Rob Gilbert and his staff so successful in a lot of tight situations like this. So they know exactly what they need to do, but this is a long situation for Claremore. It's 2nd and 15.
From the Mounties 40. Here's a snap, now a handoff, looking around the right side, breaks free at the 40, falls forward to the 43-yard line. And Riley Broucher with the carry for Claremore. And a timeout on the field. 4:30 left in the game, 12-7. Claremore with the lead. Backyard Bowl update. Union had a chance to tie this one at 24, but missed a 35-yard field goal. It's still 24-21 Jinx, 2:43 to go in the third.
Well, you might be asking, why did Rogers burn a timeout right there? 4:30 left in the game, but when you think of it from Rogers' side, this might be your football game right here on this play. It's a 3rd down and long for Claremore, about 3rd and 12, but you've got to make sure everyone is on the same play on this play, because if Claremore picks up a 1st down, it might be good night for Rogers. So you stop the clock with 4.5 to play, you burn one of your timeouts, but at the same time, you're making sure your defense understands what their assignments are and what you're going to be looking for from this Claremore offense. And meanwhile, on the Claremore side, you have to be wondering what their game plan is in this situation. 3rd and 12, do you elect to throw the football, or do you keep it on the ground? And if you don't pick up the 1st down, try to make Rogers use one of their timeouts, or if they don't, then you're just taking more time off the clock.
3rd and 12 from the 37. McCullough to throw, looks right, throws right, intended for Heisey, and it's incomplete.
Well, I think that pretty much sums it up for Claremore. With the incomplete pass there, you're probably going to punt the football here. If you would have ran it forward and maybe got 5 or 6 yards, then you might have been tempted to go for it on 4th down. I think you're giving Rogers pretty good field position here, though, if you elected to go for it. And if you don't get it, you're giving them an awfully short field to work with and plenty of time to do it in. Take a look at the set. Claremore has Noah Grimmett, Keegan Heisey in the backfield. Could see a pooch punt.
Reset the play clock. It has been reset. 4th and 12 for the Zebras from the Mountie 37. Snap to Grimmett, roll it. There is the quick kick. Bounces at the 15. And now rolling dead at the 10. Nicely done by Grimmett. 1st and 10 for the Mounties from their own 10. A 27-yard quick kick. Noah Grimmett. 4:14 remaining in the game. 12-7. Claremore leads.
That's brilliant coaching right there. I don't know if everybody would agree with it, but you'd be hard-pressed to find any that don't. That is a great decision by Rob Gilbert and his staff. And you could clearly see that most likely that's what they were going to do. Noah Grimmett does not have the better arm between he and McCullough. So you bring him in on 4th down, and the way that he was lined up, it was pretty clear that he was going to try for that little pooch punt. And he did a great job. A guy that's not experienced in punting, to drop it down at the 10-yard line, hats off to him.
1st and 10 for Saltemeyer and the Rogers Mounties from their own 10-yard line. Here's a handoff going up the left side of the line. Sage White carries it up to the 13 for a 3-yard gain. 2nd and 7.
And Rogers is in somewhat of a hurry. They're not in a huge hurry here. You don't want to try to rush too many things. And now Claremore has a player down on the field.
And I think he's down to stay down as the players back away and wait for trainers and others to come in.
And that's Roger
That's
Starkey,
isn't
yeah.
it? Ooh. So just under 4 minutes to play. Claremore with a 5-point lead in the 4th quarter. Here's a 4th quarter score for you. Skytook 16, Oologah 13. Keep an eye on that one for you. Meanwhile, 2nd and 7 for Rogers from their own 13 once we resume play. Saltmeyer fakes the handoff. Now the pitch around the right side, 15-yard line, looking for anything. He gets across the 20 to the 25. Grayson Lee with the carry. And it's first down for the Mounties.
It was a good job by Lee to pick up the yardage, and we've seen that option work pretty well all night. And a big reason why is Saltmeyer, the decision-making by him, and he has got a unique ability to hold on to the football until the last second, absorb the hit by drawing the defender in, and then making a perfect pitch to whoever the back is.
1st and 10 from their own 25. Saltmeyer, the snap, backs up to pass. Pump fake, now looking in trouble. Pulled down and sacked at the 17-yard line. And Mickey Bywaters with the sack.
Another young player stepping up on this defense. We talked about the safety earlier for Claremore, Ben Jones, and Mickey Bywaters, another sophomore. Head coach Rob Gilbert said coming into the season, this is a guy who's turned a lot of our heads in the offseason, has really come on strong.
2nd and 18. Saltmeyer fakes the handoff. There's the pitch on the right side to the 20-yard line, upended and stopped at the 26. And that player a little bit slow to get up. And Derek Baxter with the carry, and they're trying to start, adding more time again. Are they saying 4:04? The clock says 2:44. In any case, it's going to be 3rd and 9 for the Mounties from their own 26. Clock now ticking down, 2:37 to play. I don't know what I was seeing. Trying to send some sort of signals up here. 3rd and 9 from the 26. Saltmeyer in the pistol. Takes the snap, backs up to pass. Throws one over the middle, and it's caught at the 31. Flag comes in. And he'll be pulled down and stopped. And he'll get progress to the 32.
Even if the play stands, it's not going to be enough for a first down.
Pass interference against Claremore.
So it's pretty simple. You accept the penalty, it's an automatic first down. Well, check that. It's not an automatic first down on defensive pass interference in high school football, but if the yardage gain from the penalty turns it into that, then it does turn into a first down. So is that the call or isn't it? Because Rogers is lined up well behind. They're lined up where they caught the pass at. And now the officials are having more of a conversation. But again, if it is pass interference, you've got to decline the penalty in order to get the yardage necessary to pick up the first down. And so now they'll walk it off from the original line of scrimmage because it was accepted. So from the 26 all the way up to the 41.
Yep, 1st and 10 from there. 2:19 to play. Zebras lead by 5. Here come the Mounties, 1st and 10 from their own 41. Saltmeyer the snap. Handoff. White up the middle. He's up to the 43-yard line for a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8.
Well, just like last week for the Claremore Zebras, we are going to see this thing tonight come right down to the wire. And again, the way that Claremore had to play last week to win the game, every play mattered. Getting that experience in week 1, so crucial to this type of situation.
Got Carrasco back to pass. Looking. Looking now, rolling right, pump fakes. Backing up, throws away a defender. Intercepted at midfield. Here come the Zebras. Hunter Thrasher at the 35-yard line, far side, 25, 20, 15, stays on his feet to the 10, 5 out at the 4. First and goal for Claremore. And it was Max Horton back there at quarterback. Had not seen him. Knew that he came in late in the game last week. Came in and he threw a touchdown pass there. This time he throws a pick, and it's returned back to the Mounties 4-yard line.
Well, Hunter Thrasher had knocked down a couple of passes already tonight, and there was one in particular that we really thought, boy, if he picks that off, he might go the distance, and a good return there by Thrasher. And instantly recognizing the situation by Thrasher. So many times you'll see defensive players get the ball, and then they just go 100 miles an hour straight ahead. But Thrasher had the awareness to realize, hey, all the skill players are already downfield next to me or behind me. I'm going to cut across the field and try to outrun all of these offensive linemen. And he did, all but one. He got a good block and got it down to the 5.
All right, first and goal, Zebras. 1:28 to play in the 4th. Claremore 12, Rogers 7. Zebras have first and goal from the 5. McCullough takes the snap, runs straight ahead himself, runs into the line, but his second effort will get him up close to the 3-yard line for a 2-yard goal, second and goal.
And this is where you just have to be extremely cautious. You've got to protect the football. Rogers is going to use their second timeout now. So with 1:19 to go, they've only got one remaining. You can't run down the clock here and end the game. So for Claremore, you've got to try to get in there and get the touchdown.
Quick 30-second break. 12-7. Claremore leads late in the 4th quarter. This is Zebra Football on 91.3 RSU Radio and ClaremoreZebras.tv.
In as little as 12 months, with a diploma from Spartan College, you could have a career in aviation and beyond. At Spartan, you don't just study airplanes, you're surrounded by them. Some 40 at our flight campus, another 20 at our technology campus. This is a college where you can pilot planes, repair planes, learn everything there is to know about planes, inside and out.
Claremore, good to have you with us on this Friday night. Zebras would love nothing more than to punch this one into the end zone and make a 5-point lead. A potentially 12-point lead with an extra point. Here's second and goal from the 4. Direct snap to Heisey. Right up the middle. Pushing for the goal line. Touchdown, Claremore. Keegan Heisey, 4-yard run.
So the game obviously still not over at this point, but if you're Claremore, you're feeling as good about winning this game as you have all night long. And boy, the defense coming up big once again. You had to rely on your defense last week to seal the game. They get the play here, and then the offense comes through and able to punch it in. And for Keegan Heisey, what a night, huh? 3 rushing touchdowns.
All right, Teeter in to attempt the extra point. High snap, brought down by Grimmin. It's blocked. I don't know if you could say it was blocked. I think it was caught. It was. Tony Roller got both hands on it and didn't let go.
Well, that is that's an important play in this game. Now, it could be a far-fetched scenario, but the lead stays at 11 points. That is a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal. And when you look at this kicker for the Rogers Mounties team, Chris Lopez, again, we saw him earlier tonight try to attempt a long field goal over 50 yards, a 52-yarder. In pregame, he was attempting 60-yarders. So if Rogers got in a situation where they needed him to get a long field goal to tie it or make it a one-possession game, that's something to keep in mind, that they have that weapon in their arsenal.
All right. Peter will come in to kick this one away. Just a minute, 12 remaining. Claremore with an 11-point lead on the road tonight. looking to start out 2-0. If they can keep it on the rails here for the next minute 12. Peters kick the deep onside towards the far sidelines. Brought in at the 27, coming back to the middle of the field, 25-yard line. Now 30, and spun around, pulled down, and stopped at the 33. First and 10 for the Mounties from there. And just one timeout left for Rogers. First and 10, Rogers from their own 33-yard line. And again, it's Max Horton at quarterback. Backs up, way up, looking, throws one over the middle, bounced, and still caught it. Bounced off of his receiver's hands. Jay Young hit him right in the chest at the 50, popped out, and as he was falling back to his back, reaches in and brings it in. So a big conversion up to the 50. First and 10 for the Mounties from there. It didn't take much time at all. Clock stopped at 58 seconds, now running again as the chains are set. Young with an empty backfield in the shotgun. First and 10 from midfield, backs up to pass. Here comes a zebra rush. Hit just after he throws, and there comes the flag as it's completed to the 43-yard line. And the pass completed to Malacio Freeman, but I think that may be roughing is what they say. It is. I mean, it was a little late.
And it will be counted off after the completion, too.
Yeah.
So remember, a lot of reasons to believe that Claremore has this game in hand, but there's still 44 seconds left. Rogers with a timeout and driving here.
Horton in the shotgun with an empty backfield. First and 10 from the Zebra 29. Takes the snap. And whistles stop the play. Don't see a flag, but apparently there's one somewhere.
Still trying to sort things out down there. This fourth quarter is really drug on. We were moving along pretty swiftly.
So they'll resume play. So no penalty. First and 10 for the Mounties from the Zebra 28. Young in the shotgun. Backs up to pass. Throws one over the middle, and it'll be caught at the 16. And the clock stopped with 30 seconds remaining. And I'm going to assume that's Rogers' last time out.
It is, indeed, their last. If it was them who called it, which you...
No, we're backing up here, though.
So either a false start or an illegal formation or an illegal shift, because the ball was set up at the 28-yard line and now it's at the 33. So it was set up at the 28 before that play was snapped.
And they put 3 seconds more on the clock. 33 seconds. So it is first and 15 for Rogers from the Claremore 33. I think we've got it all sorted out now. Max Horton in the shotgun, still an empty backfield, backs up to pass. Here comes the zebra rush. The throw to the right, caught at the 25-yard line, and it'll be hit at the 22 and stopped there. And there's a late flag coming in. And Malacio Freeland with the catch.
Well, there was obviously some extracurricular activities. And then somebody for Claremore just got blindsided by a big-time late hit after the first penalty flag had come in. So I don't know if this is going to be offsetting, but that second penalty flag that was thrown could be borderline for an ejection.
Personal foul against Claremore, unsportsmanlike. They'll offset. One certainly was a little more than the other.
Without a doubt.
Ball spotted at the 23-yard line. 21 seconds remain. 2nd and 4. We're back to pass. Horton looking. Throws over the middle, going for the end zone, and that was knocked away. Oh, intercepted! It was knocked down and then intercepted.
What a tip drill. Claremore got the deflection, and I believe it was Garrett Reynolds who came up with the interception for Claremore, diving to his right in the end zone and able to just scoop it up before it hit the turf. What a play.
So Zebras will take over. 1st and 10 from their own 20. 14 seconds left in the game and an 18-7 lead on the road in Rogers, Arkansas. Now, I called it a little early last week, and apologies for that, but I think game in hand now.
I think so. You never know, but I think so.
There's the knee from your quarterback, Aaron McCullough. The seconds will tick away, and that's it. 18-7 is your final. Claremore is 2-0.